Welcome back to She Rocks at College Live. My name is Clarissa. I am the CEO and founder of She Rocks at College and the creator of Educated, the Art of Becoming a Good Student. I am the life coach for college students, and I help college women earn better grades and have more free time. And today, what we're going to be talking about is what actually keeps you from succeeding the way it is that you want as a college student. So you might be thinking that it's that you lack discipline. You might be thinking it's because you're not motivated enough. You might be thinking it's because you have a procrastination issue. You might be thinking it's because you don't know how to manage your time, or you don't have the study skills it is that you need to succeed. And while those things do affect the grades that you get as a student and how you experience your semester, they are not the actual reason that you're not getting the grades it is that you want and that you're not having the free time it is that you want. And I'm going to talk about today the actual thing that keeps you from succeeding the way it is that you want. And that thing is your emotions. It is your feelings, the sensations that you have in your body. So I'm going to explain why understanding this is so important as a college student. And I'm going to be filming so many videos on this topic because it will change your life. It will change what you do and what you don't do throughout the semester. And when you change what you do and you change what you don't do, you're going to change the results that you're getting as a student. You're going to change your grades. You're going to change your entire experience. So everything that you do, everything that you don't do, every action that you take, every action that you don't take, every decision that you make, every decision that you don't make, the reason why you do it or not is because of your emotions, okay? Things happen throughout the semester. Situations, circumstances, events. You have a story about what that means, and that creates an emotion. And from that emotional state, you make decisions. You take actions. You do things or you don't do things. And the things that you choose to do and the things that you don't choose to do are going to determine what gets done, the grades it is that you get, the amount of free time it is that you have, how you start and finish the semester. Okay. Our brain, this beautiful thing that we have up here, its number one job is to keep you safe and alive. That is what it's built for. And one of the ways that your brain keeps you safe and alive is by the emotional sensations that you have in your body. It's a signaling system that your brain gives your body so that your body knows what to do. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example here. Okay? Because I want you to really be able to picture how this is showing up for you as a student. So let's say that at the start of the semester, you have a goal to get an A in your women's studies class. And it's a very paper heavy class. And you have a goal to get an A on all of your papers so that you can finish the semester in this course with an A. And let's say that you did everything that you knew to do. You went to the writing center, you went to every single lecture, you made sure that you stayed on top of the reading, you got help and support, and you get your first paper back, and the grade that's staring back at you is, let's say, a 67. You got a D on your paper. The emotion that most college women will experience when this happens is disappointment, okay? You had an expectation. You had a vision, an idea of how this is going to play out. And a 67 was not part of that plan. That was not your expectation, especially not after having done all the things that you think that you're supposed to do to earn an A, and now you're staring at a 67. Disappointment is one of the top 3 emotions that college women will experience throughout the semester. And what disappointment is, it's just a deep sadness that your goal, your expectation didn't happen the way it is that you thought. And what most college women will do is when they experience this disappointment, they will think that something has gone terribly wrong, that they shouldn't be feeling the disappointment. And so what happens is that they then have a thought about the emotion that they're experiencing, disappointment, and that thought is, I must have done something wrong. I must have done something wrong because this is not what I was expecting to get on this exam. And then when you think, I must have done something wrong, and you go through the list of everything that you did to prepare, and you think about all the work that you put in, and you think about all the visits that you made to the writing center, and you think about all the lectures that you attended, and you think about all the pages that you read, and you think about all the time and effort that you put in to writing this paper, you cannot wrap your mind around why you didn't get the grade it is that you want. So then the thought, I must have done something wrong, turns into, I'm not good enough. I must not be smart enough. I must not be good at writing papers. There must be something wrong with me. So you start off with this feeling of disappointment. That disappointment then turns to guilt because you blame yourself for having done something wrong because you didn't get the grade it is that you want. Maybe I should have started writing this paper earlier. Maybe I shouldn't have waited till the last minute. Maybe I should have done one more session in the writing center. Maybe I should have spent 2 more weeks on the research. Maybe I should have edited the paper one last time. You're blaming yourself for what happened. And then when that doesn't make sense, you then make it mean something about your ability as a student. So then that guilt turns to shame. And most college women get stuck in this cycle. What happens is after they feel the shame, they're like, no, this cannot happen again. So then you set another goal. This time I'm going to work twice as hard. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to, create this new list. I'm going to change this about myself. I'm going to change this about the way that I write papers. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to really do everything that I can to try to control this grade. And then you do all those things, and then you don't get the grade it is that you want, and then we're back to guilt, and then we're back to shame, and then the cycle repeats all over again. This keeps you stuck from moving forward. This keeps you stuck from changing the very thing that is going to then change your grade, and here's the reason why. When college women experience disappointment, when they experience guilt, when they experience shame, they think something has experiencing those emotions. And so what they want to do then when they are feeling those emotions is they want to fix it because they think that they shouldn't be feeling it, right? It's like, I shouldn't be feeling disappointed because I should have gotten the grade that I wanted. I shouldn't be feeling guilty because I should have done what I said that I was supposed to do. I shouldn't be feeling the shame because I shouldn't be in this situation in the first place, right? And you want to do something to fix that emotion. And the thing about emotions is that you cannot fix emotions. The only thing that you can do with an emotion is feel it. That is the only thing that you can do with an emotion. But because it feels bad in your body, because it feels uncomfortable, and because you have the story that you shouldn't be feeling that way, instead of focusing on the things that are actually going to change your grade, that are actually going to shift and make you a better writer, make you a better thinker, make you a better editor so that you can get a higher grade on the next exam, what these emotions do is they get you fixated and focused on the wrong thing, which is fixing the emotion. And so here is what that looks like, right? So I'm going to use this example. So let's say that you're studying for a biology class and you're reading through the textbook in that biology class. And you are reading about the meiosis and the mitosis cycle. And no matter how many times you re-listen to the lecture, no matter how many times you read this section, you just do not understand and cannot wrap your mind around what meiosis is, what mitosis is, and what are the different cycles and the phases that we go through or that the chromosomes go through. And you have a thought, and that thought is, I don't know this yet. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand this, right? You have some variation of that thought. And that thought will typically, for a lot of students, produce panic or anxiety or maybe even shame or embarrassment, right? One of those emotions, it will change depending on you as a person. Different thoughts create different emotions for different people. And then what happens is you think this shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be experiencing this, right? But when you're saying that, you're not talking about the fact that you don't understand the assignment. What you're talking about is I shouldn't be feeling this embarrassment. I shouldn't be feeling this shame. I shouldn't be feeling this anxiety. Something is not right. I should not be feeling this in the moment. So then what you try to do is you try to fix that emotional state because you think it shouldn't be happening. And so what this looks like is you drop the class. So you make the decision to drop the class. And the reason why you made the decision to drop the class is because if the class was meant for you, you wouldn't be feeling ashamed. You wouldn't be feeling so anxious. You wouldn't be feeling so nervous. You wouldn't be feeling so embarrassed. You wouldn't be feeling like this requires so much effort. So when you felt that emotion, you tried to fix the emotion because you thought you shouldn't be feeling it. And your way of fixing it is to drop the class. Now, this might look like also like you going to watch a YouTube video that has somebody showing you a study with me, right? And you think that the reason why you're going to watch that study with me video is because, well, it's going to help me to figure out how to do well and understand this mitosis and meiosis cycle. But that's not actually what's happening. You're going to watch the YouTube video because you're trying to fix the embarrassment, because you're trying to fix the shame, because you're trying to fix the confusion, because you're trying to fix the overwhelm, because you're trying to fix the anxiety. And so you go and you watch this YouTube video because you're trying to fix the feeling, because you think that the feeling is the problem. Because your thought is I shouldn't be feeling this, right? Or it might look like you go and you work on another assignment and you think it is that you're just giving yourself a break from whatever it is that you're studying in the moment. But really it's because you're trying to fix the emotion. So you're going to go work on this other assignment for this other class because that feels easier, right? It's not because you needed the break. It's because you're trying to run from the emotion. You're trying to avoid the emotion. You're trying to stop what it is that you're feeling because you think that you're not supposed to be feeling it. Okay. Our society has taught us that the only emotions worth feeling are emotions that feel pleasurable. But the truth of the matter is that all emotions are valid and necessary and important because our emotions are the ways that our body signals to us when something it's the way that our body signals to us when we are not feeling safe, okay? It also signals to us when we are feeling safe. It is just a signaling system. That's all it is, okay? We experience something. We have a thought about it. That thought produces a chemical cocktail that gets released into our body so that our body knows what to do, okay? If your brain and your body interpret your thought as you being under threat, it's going to go into a fight or flight response. It's going to try to get you out of that situation or fix or survive whatever it is that's happening. If the thought that you're having about what you just experienced, whether it was an actual event or an imagination of event, like you future tripping, where it's like, oh, you're imagining yourself failing something in the future, you have a thought about it, that produces a chemical cocktail that gets released into your body. You experience that as sensations, and then you give that a name. I'm anxious, I'm sad, I'm overwhelmed, I'm scared, I'm happy, etc., right? But it's just a signaling system so that our body knows what to do. If it's a threat, we need to prepare to protect ourselves from that threat. If it's a pleasurable thing, then we just experience and process that emotion. We're just with it, right? The issue is that the narrative that most of us have is that negative emotions are a bad thing, when all it is just information. All it is our body signaling to us, we don't feel safe in this moment, right? And we think that we have to fix that sensation because we think we shouldn't be experiencing it. But again, I will say this. Emotions aren't meant to be fixed. They're meant to be felt, okay? The only time we want our body to just react and do what it's gonna do and like not really worry about what it's feeling is if we are physically under threat, okay? If you are about to get hit by a car, if you are being held at gunpoint, if you are being cornered and someone's gonna do something bad to you, or like you are falling off a cliff or getting chased by a lion, then absolutely just react, let your fight and flight response go through. But the thing is that most of us on a day-to-day basis, we're not physically under threat. We're not actually in survival mode, okay? We are just human beings experiencing sensations in the body that we have not practiced feeling. And because we have not practiced feeling it, it feels like a threat. Our brain interprets that as we're gonna die, okay? This is just the way that the brain works. This is neuroscience, okay? Things that feel pleasurable, the brain associates to safety and staying alive. Things that are painful, the brain associates to we're gonna die or we're under threat, okay? If we are actually under threat, okay, yes, we want to respond and react to that appropriately. But a paper is not a threat. A grade is not a threat. Being confused about a concept is not a threat. It just feels uncomfortable. And because your reaction to this uncomfortable sensation in your body is to run from it, you never teach your brain that it is safe to feel it. And so every time it experiences those sensations, it thinks that it's under threat and it goes into survival fix-it mode. So what we have to learn to do as students is we have to learn how to allow and to feel our emotions, okay? We have to learn how to allow and feel our emotions. Most of us are running from our emotions. We're trying to escape our emotions instead of just feeling them and teaching our brain and our body that we are safe, okay? So, with that being said, what do we do, right? Great. It's like you have this awareness now, you understand what is happening. A lot of the times, the actions, the decisions, the choices, the things that you're doing and not doing throughout the semester, the reason why they're not helping you to get the grades it is that you want or get better at time management is because you're not actually focusing on fixing the problem. You're focused on fixing the emotion. And because you're focused on fixing the emotion, the real problem never gets fixed. When you're focused on fixing the emotion, you are running from the problem. When you're focused on fixing the emotion, you don't focus on the main thing that needs to change. Okay, you make decisions that don't make sense. Because when our emotions are high, our intelligence is low. When our emotions are high, our prefrontal cortex, which is the part of their brain that's responsible for thinking, for decision making, for analyzing, for logic, it shuts down because the brain and the body thinks we're under threat. So it's like, it's not time to think right now. It's time to do and survive. When you are not used to just feeling anxiety, to just feeling overwhelmed, to just feeling confusion, your brain and your body interpret that as a not safe situation. So it's like, it's not time to think, it's time to do, it's time to fix. You end up on Netflix, you end up watching a YouTube video, you end up working on another assignment, you end up dropping the class. Instead of focusing on actually fixing the problem. And the only way that you can get to focusing on actually fixing the problem is if you can bring your brain and your body into a state of safety. And what that looks like is showing your brain and your body that you are not physically under threat, okay? Because all an emotion is, all a feeling is, are sensations in your body, okay? You have a thought about your exam, and that thought is, I'm gonna fail. When you think that thought, your brain produces a chemical cocktail depending on what your past experiences have been and your value systems have been around exams. And if you typically think exams are a bad thing, right? The chemical cocktail that's going to be produced in your body are going to mimic anxiety. So you think about your exam, you think I'm probably not going to pass it. That creates a chemical cocktail in your brain that you feel as a sensation in your body. Maybe you feel your stomach drop. Maybe all of a sudden your armpits start sweating, your hands get palmy, your heart starts racing really fast. And you call all of those physical sensations anxiety. You give it a name, you give it meaning. But if you were to look around, there's actually nothing to be anxious about besides the sensations. All that's going to happen is that your heart is going to beat really fast. You're going to start sweating under your arm. Your hands are going to get palmy. Your stomach is going to drop. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. This is different. Okay, I just want to really this is different than you're falling off a cliff. Okay, if you're falling off a cliff, something bad is going to happen to you. You could break a leg, you could die, you could have, suffer a really traumatic brain injury. Those are actual things to worry about. But a racing heart, sweaty underarms, palmy hands, feeling the sensation of your stomach drop, nothing is going to happen to you if you experience that. The reason why your brain thinks it's a threat is because you actually haven't allowed yourself to sit with those sensations. You haven't gone through a full cycle of sitting with those sensations. And because you haven't gone through a full cycle of sitting with those sensations, your brain doesn't know, it doesn't have evidence that it can survive it. Right? In order to teach your brain that it's okay to feel anxious, nothing has gone wrong, nothing is going to go wrong, it's okay to feel confusion. All that I'm going to feel is maybe my head hurts and maybe the room starts spinning a little bit and I need some fresh air, but nothing bad is going to physically happen to you. The only way that you teach your brain and your body that you are safe in this moment is to teach your body that you are safe in this moment. And that is called processing and allowing and feeling your emotions. And so I want to walk you through the process of how you feel an emotion. So this is something that I go in detail inside of my group coaching program for college women, which is called Educated, the Art of Becoming a Good Student. I have an entire mindset vault, an emotional intelligence vault, where I teach students the tools to feel their emotions, to name their emotions, to process their emotions. They have a lot of different things to teach their brain and their body this safety so that they can show up the way it is that they want as a student, so that they're not making decisions trying to run from their feelings, but they're actually making decisions that make sense based off of the results it is that they want to create for their lives. Okay? So this is how you feel and you allow an emotion. So the very first thing is just being aware of the sensations that you're feeling. Okay? So something happens. Let's say, for example, you get an exam back, right? Let's pretend this is a blue book, and you're like looking at the blue book and you're seeing that the exam grade is a 57. And all of a sudden your face got hot. All of a sudden you started sweating. All of a sudden you're starting to breathe shallowly. All of a sudden your heart is racing. All of a sudden you're feeling jittery. Noticing that that's happening is step one of feeling and processing an emotion. Step two is identifying it, actually naming what's happening. I just looked at this exam grade and I'm sweating. I'm hot. I'm so jittery. I am sweating all over the place. I'm feeling this bubbling in my stomach. And you breathe. I just got this exam grade back. 67. I'm hot. My heart is racing. My stomach is bubbling. I feel really jittery. I'm sweating. That is step two. Step three is, if you're able, naming the emotion. Okay. I think I'm worried. I feel worried. I feel worried. I got this 67 back. I'm hot. I'm sweating. Bubbling in my stomach. I'm worried. And the reason why I'm worried is because this was exam 3. And that was the exam that I needed to pass in order to pass this class. When I think this was the exam that I needed to pass this class, and I'm seeing that the grade is not a passing grade, I feel worried. And when I feel worried, the sensations in my body that I'm experiencing is I'm getting hot, my heart is racing, I'm jittery, I'm sweating all over the place. And you look around. I'm sitting in this classroom. There's a blue book in front of me with a grade. I have my water here. I'm sitting in this chair. We're okay. Now my heart is racing and I'm sweaty and I feel jittery and I'm worried, but I'm okay. I'm safe in this moment. I'm not actually under threat. And you breathe. This is what it looks like. What it looks like to not allow and feel your emotions is you get the exam grade back, you feel this emotions, and you're like, throw the exam into your bag. You don't even look at it. You're like, you get up, you call your friend. You're like, oh my God, I just failed this exam. And you start telling yourself, I'm never going to be able to pass. Oh my God. Your thoughts are racing. You're worried. You're like, all of a sudden you're going to talk to the professor. All of a sudden you're like, I'm going to go drop this class. All of a sudden, like, that is not processing an emotion. That is you running from it. That is you trying to not feel it. That is you trying to get it to go away. And when you're in that state, you do not think clearly. Because when your emotions are high, your intelligence is low because your prefrontal cortex shuts off when you're in a high emotional state. High emotional state, the brain interprets as, we're gonna die. We gotta do something about this. And when you're in doing mode, this isn't working. Your brain is like, all resources go to the body, get away from this, do something. That is what happens physiologically. That is just a fact of life. That is how we are built as human. That is how our body works. Okay? This is so important for you to understand, especially if you have failed exam after exam after exam And you're doing all of these things to try to fix it, and nothing is working. The reason why it's not working is because you're not fixing it. You're fixing the emotion. And the emotion isn't what you need to fix. You need to feel the emotion. You need to process the emotion so that you can bring yourself back into a place of safety and groundedness and calm and certainty, because from this place, now your prefrontal cortex comes back online, and now we can evaluate. Now we can look at things objectively. Now we can actually think through, why didn't I get the grade it is that I wanted? What worked? What didn't work? Based off of this, what needs to change? And you are making these changes deliberately, consciously, because you're understanding exactly what happened. Versus when you are just trying to not feel the way that you feel, you're just like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. You're not really thinking through if those changes make sense. You're not really thinking through if learning that skill makes sense. You're not really thinking through if adjusting and pivoting and makes sense. And the reason why you're not able to think about it that way is because you're in a high emotional state, so your intelligence is low. Okay? So is this making sense to everyone? I'm just going to take a moment to look over at the comments. Yeah, so Boom Hot is just basically reiterating everything that I'm saying. Okay, perfect. So once you've learned to feel your emotions and to allow your emotion, what do you do after you feel it? What's your next step to actually create the change it is that you want? So you're going to notice how you felt when you're going to notice the sensations that happened in your body when you felt that emotion. And you're going to pay attention to what happened. What happened when I felt that emotion? Most of you are going to find nothing happened. All that happened was my heart raced, I got sweaty, I felt hot, my stomach dropped. And that lasted about 3 minutes. I had to breathe a lot. It felt uncomfortable. There were moments where I wanted to run away. But all in all, I'm still here. I'm still alive. Nothing really happened to me. You also want to pay attention to what you were thinking before those sensations happened. Because our thoughts create our emotions, okay? This is the way that the brain works. You experience something, you have a thought about it. That thought creates an appropriate chemical response in your body. That chemical cocktail and response, hormones that your brain releases, you will experience as sensations. You will give that sensation a name, and then your body will know what to do. If it's safety, it'll just feel it. If it's something, if there are sensations that you associate to threat, then your brain is going to be like, just get out of there, fight or flight response type of situation, right? You are crossing the street, you notice a car is coming at you really fast. You have a thought, shit, that car is going to hit me. That produces a chemical sensation in your body that you experience and you name as fear. And either from that fear, you'll freeze, or from that fear, you'll like jump on top of the car, or from that fear, you'll try to like run away from that car as fast as possible so that it doesn't hit you. That's an appropriate response to something like that happening. But the reason why you had that response was because you had the thought, shit, that car is going to hit me. And so your brain is like threat, and it created the appropriate chemical cocktails for you to get out of there, right? All of this is happening, okay? Now, you want to notice the thought that you're having, because the thought is what will create the emotion. Once you've showed your body that you are safe, and this isn't going to happen one time that you do this, okay? You have trained your brain semester after semester, exam after exam, class after class, that it's not safe to feel your emotions. Okay, so you going through this process one time isn't going to all of a sudden make you feel safe feeling that emotion. This is a gradual process, okay? You also don't want to try to jump into this full force. You want to take it slowly, one step at a time, okay? You have to, I call this titrating, right? It's like if the intensity becomes too much, I allow myself to walk away from feeling the emotion. And then maybe I'll come back later and go through the process again. Okay. These are great exercises to do with the therapist. If you are someone who attends therapy or goes to therapy, you can let your therapist know, I want to learn how to practice feeling my emotions. I want to go through that process. If it makes doing this feel a lot safer for you, you can do it in the guidance of someone else, whether that's a coach, whether that's a therapist, whether that is a clinical psychologist, whatever it is that you're needing to, you can, if you feel safe and comfortable with a partner next to you, right, or a friend, you can have someone there that's going to remind you, hey, nothing is happening, you're safe right now. Look around, name 3 things that you see, smell 2 things, name 2 things that you smell, what do you taste, and can bring you back into the present moment to remind you that you're safe, that all you were feeling were sensations, but you're actually safe in the moment. Once you've taught your body and your brain that emotions are safe to feel, the next step is to decide how you want to feel on purpose. Okay. If feeling disappointed isn't a problem, if feeling guilty isn't a problem, if feeling shame isn't a problem, if all of those emotions were just allowed and you got to just feel them, and once you felt them and you got yourself into a place of safety and you decided that okay, I want to create change in this exam, I want to create change on the next exam, I want to create change in this class, I want to show up differently, what would I have to feel to take the actions to make decisions that align up with the result it is that I want to create? And this is what the work is. This is what mindset work is about. Once you've identified what it is that you want to create and you are aware of the actions that are going to take you to creating that, you then have to generate the emotion that is going to propel you into taking that action. And where that emotion comes from is the story that you tell yourself about what's happening. And I have so many videos on my YouTube channel all about this process, all about changing your mindset, all about creating emotions, all about, evaluating what's working and what's not working for you as a student so that you can create the exact grade it is that you want, so that you know exactly what to do to get the grades it is that you want, so that you know exactly what to do to study less and graduate really proud of yourself. But this is what I wanted to talk about today. It's so important as a college student to not make what is happening throughout the semester, late assignments, procrastination, poor grades, etc., mean anything about you, because it doesn't. The way that I always tell my students to think about their grades is that a grade is just a numerical representation of the amount of the content that you understood at any given point in time. Okay? If you got a 50 on an exam, it's because at the point that you took that exam, you understood or were able to demonstrate that you learned and retained 50% of the material. That does not tell you what you are capable of. It does not talk about your ability. It's just at that given point in time when you were given that exam or when you wrote the paper, it was 50% of understanding. There is room to grow and improve and to increase your retention and to increase your understanding if you believe that there is room to grow. But if you make it mean that you're not smart enough, that you don't have the capability, that you don't have the ability, that you don't have what it takes, then there's no room for growth, because you think that it's fixed and there's nothing that you can do. And if you believe that there is nothing that you can do, then there's nothing that you can do. The concepts that I teach on this YouTube channel, The strategies that I teach on this YouTube channel are unlike anything that you're going to see by any other person who's doing this type of content. When you learn how to approach your college experience in this way, you give yourself full control, full power, full authority, full empowerment to create exactly what it is that you want. You are no longer at the mercy of your professors. You are no longer at the mercy of your institution. You are no longer at the mercy of your life circumstances. You get to decide what happens. You get to decide what kind of grades it is that you get. You get to decide how much you study, for how long you study, etc. But you have to learn how to manage your mind. You have to learn emotional intelligence, which is just your ability to name and feel emotions. And you have to learn how to evaluate your study skills. That's all that's required to be a good student. Learn how to make a study plan that's effective. Learn how to fit that study plan into your schedule. And learn how to get yourself to stick to it, which is mindset and emotional intelligence. If you can learn those 3 skills, you will always know how to pass a class, no matter what else is going on in your life. That is what we teach on this YouTube channel. That is what I coach students on, and I go in depth with strategies and tools and resources inside of my group coaching program, Educated: The Art of Becoming a Good Student. This is what I work with students on when they hire me to be their life coach, when they hire to work with me as their academic life coach. And if you are interested in any of that, there's information in the description box, or you can always reach out to me. My email is hello@sherocksatcollege.com, and we can talk about all the different ways to work with me. I have so much stuff coming to this YouTube channel, starting with the Your Best Semester Yet Challenge, which is going to be happening on August 14th through the 19th. There's going to be information in the description box on how to sign up for that challenge. It's going to be incredible because I'm going to teach you these 3 skills that I talk about that you need to learn how to master as a college student if you want to earn better grades and have more free time. I will see you back here next Monday at 1 p.m. where I'll be going live again, teaching another concept that's going to help you to be a better student. Bye.